There are a handful of FNAF fan games that I've played, and I know plenty of other people have played them, including some big YouTubers like Dawko, Fusion Z Gamer, and Fiznom. But they don't feel underrated, but just underappreciated. Simply because if you search the name into YouTube, you get gameplay videos and pretty much nothing else. That's not to say they're bad, nor to say that nobody likes these masterpieces, but it's weird to see fan games that are significantly worse or on the same par get videos with more analytical channels, especially since YouTubers talking about these games will probably make more money than these fan games ever will, which is a very sad reality, some of which have taken years to develop. So, I looked at my to-do list and thought I could squeeze in making some videos on some underappreciated FNAF fan games, starting with a fan game that, in my opinion, has perfected the original formula that started with Scott's original series. Fazbear Entertainment Storage is a fan game made earlier this year. Oh, wait a minute, it's not 2022 anymore. Not to be confused with Fazbear Fright Storage, made by the same developer, DeMichael. It takes power management from FNAF 1 and the mask, flashlight, and animatronics from FNAF 2. Yeah. Camera tracking of FNAF 3 and the audio cues of FNAF 4. It makes quite possibly the perfect classic FNAF experience. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel like Land, Joy of Creation, or Tyke & Sons. It just perfects what's already here. Allow me to explain. You play as a guard at a Fazbear storage facility after the events of FNAF 2. Your job is to monitor the withered toy animatronics after they begin to exhibit strange behavior. And yeah, that's it. It fits very snugly into the original FNAF timeline. It is very easy to understand, even for those that are just completely non-theorists. It's actually really refreshing. It's not trying to make its own story or make some other convoluted plot. Strap in for this. The gameplay isn't complicated by any means. There's just a lot of this. This is because this game has no less than 8 animatronics, and they all have their own unique behaviors. I absolutely loathe FNAF 2 because it has 11 animatronics, but with the exception of the puppet, Foxy, and Balloon Boy, they're all very samey. But here, they all have unique mechanics. Well, mostly. We'll get to that in a second. But first, no, this video isn't sponsored. But fair warning that the part of the fun of this game is actually figuring out what each animatronic does. They're all simple enough that they're not hard to figure out, and I actually found a blast trying to figure out what each one did. Usually trial and error is a bad thing in a FNAF game, but no, here it's actually perfectly fun. So, last warning to click off of this video and go play this free game for yourself. Still here? Perfect. Let's go and continue. For starters, Bonnie and Balloon Boy basically function just like they did in FNAF 2. They appear in your left vent, and you have to use your Freddy mask to shake them off. Simple. And oh my gosh, look at this animation. The models and animations in this game are actually breathtaking. They are hands down my favorite looking animatronics in any FNAF game or fan game, with the exception of maybe Security Breach. It's really amazing what you can do when you're not limited by the ClickTeam engine. This game was made in the Game Maker studio. Keep that in mind. Anyway, back to the gameplay. Freddy's similar to how Foxy worked in FNAF 2. He appears in the hallway and hides away when you shine your light at him. Simple. Chica functions pretty similar to how she did in FNAF 1. She crawls into this vent opening in your office. You have to shut the door to keep it away. Simple. Though shutting your door does take power. Speaking of which, cameras don't take power in this game, but your flashlight uses its own battery, and the building can run out of power if you use your vent doors or seals too much. Having your power only tied to the doors may not seem too hard, but trust me, it works in its favor. You're going to be in the cameras a lot, and there's going to be a few times where you run out of power simply because you forgot about a vent door or a vent seal. And this is where Mangle comes in. You use the vent seals on the inside of the vents to keep Mangle from destroying the fans inside of them. If she destroys the fan, the temperature of the building will go up. And if the temperature gets too high, she'll kill you. Simple. And then there's the puppet, who appears on night 5. When you hear her audio cue, you just need to go into the cameras and find her. You've probably noticed that I've said simple a lot here, because all of these animatronic mechanics are super simple, but they're all very unique. It feels a lot better than just filling your roster with a bunch of animatronics that feel more of the same type than their own unique thing. They really put quality over quantity here. It's funny, the themings and story and animatronics of this game all are reminiscent of FNAF 2, but gameplay-wise, it's really not derivative of that game at all. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on FNAF 2. We'll get to those later. Next, I should probably mention the audio cues. Most animatronics, Toy Bonnie, have an audio cue that tells you whenever they move around or are entering your office. Chica and Mangle are incredibly noisy whenever they move around. Balloon Boy has his typical
Hi.
whenever he moves, which is useful because he doesn't actually appear on the cameras. Freddy has an audio cue that might as well be non-existent, and we already discussed the puppet. And honestly, I love these. They give you such reward for paying attention, but just vague enough to easily slip by under your radar. I should also probably mention the status panel. It doesn't really have a gameplay use, at least 90% of the time, but it does contain all of your UI, which is a nice touch, I think. Though there is one thing you're going to need it for. On night 6, you're put up against Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, which are both very interesting animatronics, as they have multiple methods of attacking you. Spring Bonnie will crawl through the vents like Toy Chica, but if the door isn't closed when he gets there, it's an instant jump scare. He'll also move around through your office, and you have to keep your camera up for the whole time that he moves through. Both of these are triggered by audio cues. Fredbear, on the other hand, goes in through the Bonnie vent, but he doesn't actually go into the vent. He stays in the room next to it, and you have to use your mask to repel him. That's simple and kind of lame. He makes a really loud audio cue that just kind of makes him a less threatening Bonnie, to be honest. And he supposedly has a second mechanic, but I could not find it for the death of me. But these two do have mechanics that aren't run-ending, but do definitely put your run at risk. At any time, you may hear audio cues that indicate that one of your cameras is being tampered with. You go into your cameras and you find out which one it is, and you go into your status panel to give them a control shock. If you wait too long to do this, what will happen depends on which animatronic it is. If it's Fredbear, he'll knock out your power unit, and yeah, it's basically game over from there. But Spring Bonnie will just disable your camera. So it kind of balances out. All in all, they're a pretty fun Night 6, even if their mechanics don't clash well with the other animatronics in the Custom Night. Speaking of which, in Custom Night, trust me, you will be camera dancing. All the unique animatronics make it so you actually have to, think to get through this game. Now, I've been giving this game a lot of praise, and now I should probably mention a few complaints I have. And really, the environment kind of sucks. It's really just a storage facility. Doesn't look too great, and doesn't feel really FNAF-y at all. And that wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for Michael's first game, Fazbear Fright Storage, that graphically looked awful, but its environment looked great? What? How do you... Never mind. Secondly, this game isn't scary. Not at all. I mean, I know that's technically subjective, but I didn't feel scared here. Not once. Okay, maybe once. When I first saw the puppet for the first time, that was pretty cool. But, I mean, the jump scares, the animations, they all look fantastic. They just aren't scary. It might have something to do with the fact that they're just toy animatronics, but I don't know. This really felt like a missed opportunity. Again, this game was made in Game Maker Studio, which is the same engine that the upcoming FNAF remake FNAF Plus is being made in. And honestly, this game makes me more excited for that game, which is very impressive. Not sure if that's where you're going for, but good job. And yeah, these complaints are pretty minor, and this game took 3 years to develop, and I'm pretty sure fixing these complaints would have only prolonged development for a game of very, very similar quality. So I'm not complaining all too much. Wait a minute, yes I am. But in the end, this is a fantastic game. And Michael, if you're watching, I really hope that those 3 years were worth it for you. I really enjoyed my experience here. And I can't wait for your next projects, and I really hope I've given this game the praise it deserves, otherwise than the 12,000 follow... Maybe this game isn't underappreciated as I thought. Whoops.